Welcome to the Bodcast, Season 6, Episode 3. And we are all three here. Andy is in the UK. And Leon and I, as usual, we're in Nairobi. Mm-hmm. And in this episode, we thought we would talk all about mindset and the mental aspect of your health and fitness journey, as I would say that is even more important than the kind of physical, and something that a lot of people underestimate. So that's what we thought we would have a conversation about today. But first, we can have a little catch up. And yeah, Annie, how's it going over there? You're being complimented on your physique now.
Wow, yeah. It's gym bro things, isn't it? Yeah. Everyone likes the only compliments you ever get is from another guy in the gym.
Oh yeah, it's like that. Well, it's a funny joke where all guys assume it'll be the ladies who are like, "Ooh, nice arms," or nope, it's always the guys.
Yeah, it's always the guys. I always said, I think I posted this yesterday. The sort of bodybuilding world is way more supportive.
Yeah.
Than people realise. Like, people that are willing to come up to you in the gym and say, "Oh, you're looking good," even if they don't know you.
No, I agree with that. I think it is a really, like you say, even though you're training by yourself, maybe you have a partner, but it's just, I don't know, it is a very supportive place and sort of competitive in one way, but people can come up to you and be like, yeah, you're looking.
Here's the thing, like even in competitive bodybuilding, you're not actually competing against anyone else.
Yeah.
Really, because all you can do is bring your best. And if your best isn't as good as their best, that's fine. It's still your best. Yeah. As long as you always remember that, you'll never be truly disappointed.
Yeah, and it's good even like when you're say on stage or backstage and you have bigger, better arms than someone, a better back. There's always that, dude, you have a nice back. Like it's competition, but it's super supportive. Like there's a bit of honesty, I think, is like, yeah, he beat me here, but I beat him there. It's nice. It just makes, I guess, everyone understands the work that goes in. So it's
I think some people post show do get caught up a little bit in their own feelings and feel and really where you place doesn't matter as much as bringing your best. The only difference maybe if you're pro when money matters. But when you're fighting it out for a $10 trophy, I don't think it matters, does it really?
Yeah.
Unless you bring your best, everyone's spent a fortune on being there and getting there and everything else. Everyone's suffered. So if someone beats you, then beat you. What you do is you agree to be judged. When you enter a show, you are signing an agreement to be judged by someone placed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you don't like that, it was tough luck. We don't often like football refereeing decisions or rugby refereeing decisions, but you have to live with them. So that's the same. But I think generally speaking, that's why it is so supportive. And even wider than that, like not the whole fitness industry, because it can be in places a little bit toxic. But in that sort of bodybuilding in a slightly more niche area, I think it is more supportive because it is a little bit more niche. It's a little bit more, a little bit more, what do you call it? On the cusp of sort of on the edge, especially like proper competitive bodybuilding. It's like it is I won't go faster than a cult, but it's it's something that's on the fringes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with that. But so you're how many weeks out now?
5 today.
Wow.
How many? I want to know how much rice now.
10 grams. No, you're refeeding.
No, most of my days I don't have any rice except the rest days because I moved all my carbs pretty much into my, well, apart from vegetables and tomatoes, like sort of peppers and tomatoes, part of my vegetables into the meal. I take a big part. But like, 100 grams of carbs per day. But my intra takes up most of that, so that's fine. I'm okay with that. My pre and intra.
Yeah.
But today I've got a refeed of 300.
Oh, nice.
Like Ollie gave me a choice. Either optimally 300 grams today and tomorrow would be better. I could have 600 grams in one day and enjoy it a little bit more. I chose a 300. Was like,
yeah, because the 600 that would be a serious carb feast. Wow, that's
I think my prep brain would have lied to me and that I've gone for 600.
Really?
I don't know. I think so. I'd be. But
you get less from it. Like, the reality is, if you can increase your calories over 48 hours, your hormones will thank you more than just
once. Yeah.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's sort of what the research is showing. You need like 2 to 3 consecutive refeed days to reap the hormonal benefits. I think like just the one-off is more of a psychological one.
Yeah, big time.
So I'm also doing 2 refeed days. I won't be eating quite 300 grams of carbs, but
that'd be nice.
Yeah.
But like, I've still got training today, so my pre and intra will take up still a big portion of that.
Yeah.
I'll have just a little bit more pre and intra. I'll also, get some. I love it being in the UK because you get little microwave bags of rice. It's quite small, 50 pence, so it's like not even 100.
50p.
Not even 100 bob. Right, for a packet, and a basmati rice, and I'll use that for the day.
Well, that's good. Yeah, just gives you, well, you're not thinking too much about the weighing the food, and you just have it there, have it whenever you're ready.
Yeah, it's funny when you're in Kenya. I moved to the UK. Actually, UK, my shopping's always cheaper. It is sharp. I get like chicken, everything. That's because I'm mainly eating chicken at the moment.
Yeah,
chicken's definitely like the beef's cheaper minced, but actually I can get cuts of beef in the Kenya cheaper than mince it myself.
Yeah.
Which is what I tend to do. But generally, it's like food shops are a lot cheaper here.
Yeah, it is. I was even telling, I think it was Wallace I was telling, and he didn't believe it, and I was like, during prep that week, buying the meats and stuff, we were buying it clear, and compared to here, it was significantly cheaper. And it was just fish and chicken, I think, and maybe one beef meal before the show day, but it was much cheaper than here.
Yeah, that's what is always quite like. I can get all my meat, especially the chicken, for like, I don't know, it's probably about 700 shillings worth, which would cost me for a kilo. So that's like going to be close to 1,000 shilling mark in Kenya.
Yeah.
Chicken breast.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, I mean, with the mindset of health and fitness, I think the biggest hurdle most people have is an all or nothing mindset. And, we can say that as much as we want, and people are like, yeah, it's so obvious, but it's still, I think, one of the biggest things that stops people. As, there's never going to be a perfect time to start. It's never going to be perfect. Like, I do get a lot of clients be like, oh, I don't want to start now because I have X, Y, Z, or, can we put it on hold because I can't commit fully? I'm like, that's actually the best time to have a coach who can help guide you and show you how, to still, not give your best, but it's how you can still achieve your goals and not be sort of quote unquote 100% perfect, because life is never like that. And it's better to learn the sort of tools so that you know how to handle these things when life throws you curveballs, and it's not just, oh, well, let's throw everything out the window now.
100%.
And it's not easy. It's not easy, especially if you're a perfectionist. But I can't say like any journey goes smoothly, whether, you know, it's a fat loss or whatever. You know, you cannot possibly predict things that are going to come up. And, you know, if you know how to handle them, if you know, as we always say, understand all the basics, you know, you'll know what to do, and you know that a couple of days of not being, you know, 100% is not going to derail you. Easier said than done. What do you think, gents? What are your kind of tips for people who are?
I think this is just me, like habit. You know, we can cut away everything else. Like, you know, motivation, inspiration is just, you know, fluffy, fun words. We can tick. People who succeed are the people who build the best habits.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and when once you've got habits, you realize, you know, things don't need to be perfect. As long as you can tick those boxes, you will progress. And I think this is where people don't give themselves enough to make a routine a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, everyone's, you know, since been here, oh, you're so good with your food, making sure you have your food and you take it. And I carried it on planes, even to UK. Like when I got here on Monday from Dublin, I had my whole day's food with me, so I wouldn't miss a meal, and I wouldn't, you know, be looking where I'm gonna get a meal from. And as I say to clients, you know, if you're prepared, everything else, you know, you make that a habit. You make prepping your food a habit. Therefore, every other habit comes easier.
Yeah.
Every other part of it becomes easier because you've done one harder bit. But once it becomes habit, it's not hard anymore. The hard bit is turning things that you're not used to into a habit, but it doesn't take long. You know, I don't know. They haven't got any other thoughts?
Yeah, I was just thinking because it's the same way you say, because guys ask, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I guess it starts off as a habit. You do it every day to the point it becomes a lifestyle, I guess, where you don't really have to think about it. You already know how the next day will be and how to push when you feel a certain way, how to hold back when you need to, and you build it over time. Because like Claire said, you say you start with a coach, say client comes to us, we don't expect all or nothing when we start on Monday. As coaches, we're there to, you know, take you step by step to build, say, one habit at a time, which at the end of the day helps with a change in mindset, and you start learning and you start realizing how this affects something else in your life. Maybe your training helps you focus better at work. You know, you being able to control your food comes back into how you plan your day with your kids, with work. So at the end of the day, it can't be all or nothing forever. Even for professional athletes, there's a time for, you know, all or nothing, maybe in season, and time to push, hold back, and like you have to be able to understand yourself as you build your habit over time. I guess that's how I look at it.
I think, you know, having routines suits humans. I think most people benefit in any part of their life by having some sort of routine. You know, we start with kids. Yeah, you always say, oh, you got to get your kids into a sleeping routine. You know, kids thrive off routine. You know, I think as you get older, that doesn't change. I think, you know, we get the best out of ourselves when we have a set routine. You know, we're gonna wake up this time, we're gonna do this between this and this time, we're gonna do this during this time. You know, because it helps you stay focused. You know, I do the same things at the same times every day. Yeah, you know, and it just makes my life easier because I know what I'm going to be doing. You know. Yeah, I know what times I'm having my meals. Those meals are ready. I don't need to think about it. I'm not like out and about going. And I take meals with me. If I'm going to be out of the house, I make sure I've got my meals with me, even for later, just in case I get stuck out. Yeah. You know, because I don't want to have to then look around for food.
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know if this happens to you, but for me, like anytime I have to do something else and change sort of my training time, I almost get confused, and I'm like, crap, now what do I need? Like you're so used to having a set routine that if any small thing changes, you can adapt, but at first you're like, oh, like
it takes time to build up slightly different routine again.
yeah.
It's a bit like, I train at a different time when I'm at home because my routine only allows, my day, once I've worked it all out, that's the time it works best. And that's the thing. If you pre-plan everything, pre-plan your meals, pre-plan your actual routine and your scheduling, you'll be like, you can find out when works out best instead of trying to shoehorn things in. Whenever you try to rush things and do things, it's never great, and you won't get your best out of it. But if you have a set plan and you keep to that plan and you just execute the plan, life's easy. It's same with like if you are doing, an operation plan in the military or police or security, you have steps and people work those steps and it's easy. It's like, you go between you land at this time, you go to this. And not every plan works out brilliantly. And they don't always go according to plan. Like, your days might throw a curveball in there. But if you have like, your food review, because you've got built-in contingency, if you know that, that's when I want to train, but if I don't train that time, maybe I'll just train after if anything else happens. Have a plan, but keep some sort of flexibility in just in case. Just I know some people are so rigid with a plan. If one thing goes wrong, it causes them to spiral. So you got to have a little bit of flexibility in it. But I do believe, as a whole, people do better from having a schedule and set routines.
Yeah, and again, that's another reason I'm not a big fan of sort of 12-week transformations, because before you can get that physical transformation, you've got to get your mindset in place. You've got to work on these routines, on these habits, and they don't come overnight. No. Like Leon said, diet starts Monday. It's like, not really. Be like, mindset starts Monday. Now you start the work of just, laying the foundations of finding what routines and habits work for you, how they work into your life. And it really can take a lot of time. And as we always go on about, there's a difference between, working towards a very specific look, as in a competition, or if you've got a performance, then that does require sacrifice and a very different mindset. But if you're in this for health, and yes, you can still have a goal of looking good, but you've got to be ready to put in that mindset work, because it is huge. It is really, really huge. And again, especially if you're doing something that feels like it's taking you further away from your ultimate goal, like a reverse diet or a maintenance phase, and what I see in my clients, the biggest transformation is the mindset shift away from, an all or nothing, or just from, years of disordered eating, poor relationship with food, with exercise, and just learning to give yourself grace, and especially if you have a family, or if you're working full time, you might see on social media, someone else who is perhaps, working towards a very specific goal, and they just seem like they've got everything in place and they're doing this, they're doing that. Like, even with myself posting like on social media, my stories, how I can get in steps or whatever, I'm like, I have a very different lifestyle to you. I don't have children. My job is health and fitness. For me, it's not difficult to make certain things a priority. And it's all about finding what you want to prioritize, how you can do it, and also what you won't do. I think it's important to also focus on what you are not willing to do. If you have a coach, that's what you also need to discuss with them. Like, you know, if you say like, right now for me, I'm not willing to give up my glass of wine in the evening. Like that is my lifeline. Or if I'm not willing right now to commit, you know, to going to a gym, you know, it's really important that you're honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And if you have a coach about that, because what you won't do is just as important as what you
Definitely
will and want to do. Because if you know you want to make whatever you're doing enjoyable, I mean there's a balance between, you know, like it does take time to make certain things like a habit, and they might seem difficult at first, but you know, like a lot of people, when we give them step targets, they're like, whoa, how? And then that's like their favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
But if it's something that's a chore for you day in, day out, you know, don't do it. Like find you know, something different, because it has to be sustainable. It really does. If you're doing something for life, you have to see whatever you're doing it forever. There's no point just doing it for like 3 months. You need to find a way to make it your lifestyle.
I always say to people, you know, give it a go, like especially with steps. If we really are struggling to do steps, we'll find another way to get your activity levels in. You will either reduce calories a touch, or we will give you a little bit extra cardio if you find it more enjoyable, easier to get. You know, also, big things is, what is your non-negotiable? Is it important to meet with your friends on a Friday, drink and have a burger? If so, you know, work around that. It's fine. You know, and that's one of my pre-sign-up questions. Is, you know, and I have a lot of people on a 1 day higher calorie just to allow that to happen. You know, we get lower rest of the week and one much higher day to allow for a bit of flexible eating, be it on the weekend, you know, with your family and kids, or you know, meeting up with friends. But I did think you said one thing that was really important: is give yourself grace. I think people are too hard on themselves. Yeah, we've all probably had clients where we just stop checking in, and you're like, "Why are you not checking in?" And it's because they say, "Oh, no, I've had a terrible week," or "It's all gone wrong," or you know, "I've seen your other clients are doing so well, and I feel like, you know, that you don't know." You're not, and everyone's journey is different. And the reality is, you need to speak to me more when things are going wrong. I'm here to help. I'm not here to tell you off. I'm not here to, you know, life happens, and sometimes, you know, we get on with, you know, clients need to realize that, you know, life just happens, and you know, we're here to help them and not tell them off.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, because I think most clients start and look at it as life and training and goals, when it's one thing, but it's like, oh, I didn't eat one meal yesterday, I messed up, you know, I can do extra cardio, like you have clients worried, and it's like, no, it's you know, it's part of the process. It's 1 day out of a lifetime. So I think that's one mindset a lot of people have. It's like work, life, you know, family, and then training, goals, getting lean, strong, and they forget it. It's, you know, it's all.
It's not even, we've all had days like it where things have gone wrong and we haven't been perfect. And for any of us sitting here on this podcast to say otherwise would be a lie. You know, we've all been in a situation where the wheels have fallen off. We've eaten something we shouldn't have. We've done no steps. We skipped the training session. We have, yeah. What happens is we built up routines over time, so that's very limited. But like, there's times in the past where it definitely happened, you know. So I think, you know, clients need to realize everyone's in the same boat in that sense. Like, we don't all have good days, and it's okay not to have a good day. Every client will have a bad day or a bad week, or you know, or struggle for motivation over a period of time. It's very normal.
Yeah,
it really is. And it's a lot of language that people use is so harsh. There's so much talk of failure.
Yeah.
giving in, falling off. I think especially in the fitness arena, there's a lot of that language. And I was talking to a lot of clients about sort of cravings. And I mean that you can go very deep into that, and those have a lot of psychological roots. But just again, working with yourself rather than always feeling like you're working against yourself is such a big one. As when you set either unrealistic goals or you hold this ridiculously high standard for yourself, if you don't achieve that, then you feel like you've failed. And it's not fair. You can literally just try the best that you can, and to be more realistic with yourself, especially if it is cravings, if it is like it's coming to your period week or something, and you really find that that's when you normally crave something. Again, work with your coach to make a plan. And so instead of feeling like you're always wanting something and you can't have it, but then you give in and then you failed, and then what's the point? It's like, plan it in. Plan things you like in, and that way you can still feel like you are in control. It's the same with a lot of busy people. There's not a set amount of time that you have to spend training. It seems like everyone's like, you've got to work out for 1 hour. It's like, no, you don't. You don't. And I've broken it down, for a lot of clients into 20, 30-minute workouts. You could do 10 minutes in the morning and 10 in the evening, if that works better for you, rather than thinking, oh gosh, where am I going to find this hour? And then you don't do it. And then again, you feel like you're failing. Whereas if you're like, okay, 20 minutes, yeah, I can fit in 20 minutes, and you do it. And
that's the thing, like, everything's individual. Like, I've had training sessions last 2 hours, not because they're any longer than a 1 hour session. I've been able to do those sessions for 40 minutes. It's okay not to be at your best and take your time. It's also okay to try and fit something in. Life is a bit like that, and something I really, I often bring it up in check-ins, tell clients, you need to be kinder to yourself. You are, if I spoke to you like this, it'd be, it would feel horrible. But you allow yourself to speak to yourself like that, and that's what, people have to learn. You wouldn't speak to other people in that way. That's why you're speaking to yourself in that way. Yes, things go. If your friend came to you and said, "Oh yeah, I didn't get my training in this week, didn't get all my meals in," most people say, "Oh, it's okay, it's just 1 week."
Yeah.
But when it's yourself, you're like, "Oh, I failed, I'm rubbish, I'm useless."
Yeah.
And it's not. It's just a case of it's 1 week. You can get back on it. It's 1 day or whatever. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 1 month. You can still pick up. You can, and it's not the end of the world. If you're not a professional athlete, it's not your world. Being fit, it's not what pays for bills. It's not what put food on the table for families. So people just need to be a bit kinder to themselves. And I think people get a lot more out of their fitness journey if they saw it in a slightly funner way rather than a punishment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's sadly it still is seen that way. When I put on my stories last week because I saw this billboard for, it was like a hamburger and then a salad, and it's like what you tell your trainer you eat and like what you actually eat. And it's this mindset that we're like a different species. And it's like, no, we're not. If you eat a burger and you feel guilty and ashamed and you can't tell your coach, there's something fundamentally wrong about that, and that's sort of good versus bad. And it's like, we still eat burgers, we still have bad weeks, it's just because it's, it is more of our lifestyle. But there's, that kind of sense of, that we're watching you, and like if we see you eating,
judging you,
chicken wings with your friends, we'll be like, oh no.
The problem is there is bad coaches that do. Yeah. Bad coaches that bring us up, and it's like, I don't understand. It's like, is as a coach, you're there to coach, and saying, you shouldn't be using, if someone comes into you and says, a weekend drink, you shouldn't say, you need extra time on the treadmill.
Yeah,
we shouldn't be using exercise as punishment. We shouldn't be using the diet as punishment. It should all be enjoyable.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it always will be enjoyable, but overall, it should be an enjoyable experience. It's days when you feel really tired and you do a bit of cardio and you don't like it, but you do it. But at the end of the week, you go, that was a good week.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be something, some reward to doing it. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. This is like everything. It's a reward-based, system in life where how much time are we giving up to be fit versus how much enjoyment are we getting from that? Because if you're getting no enjoyment from it, and you can be using that time to get some enjoyment from something else.
Yeah.
Do that, and the cost of that could be, you're a little bit less healthy. The life might stop earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But that can't be known. But if that's worth it to you, then that's fine with me. I'm always, I always say this to people: if you are someone who likes training, brilliant. If you're someone though who doesn't, and you like, eating all the time and being obese, that's okay too. That's your choice. It's choices. Everyone gets a choice. That's fine. I'm okay with that. If you are someone who, and the reality is most people in the middle. People like eating out. People like drinking. People enjoy it, socializing with friends. But we also enjoy a bit of training or a bit of physical activity. And the gym isn't for everyone. That's another thing I say to people. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to be a CrossFit athlete. You don't have to watch CrossFit games and say, I want to be like that. To get your enjoyment out of physical activity, it could be going on a hike. It could be, walking in nature. It could be just walking your dog. It could be jogging. It could be fell running. It could be a million different things. But it's what it is to you. And I think this is what people forget. They look on social media and they feel they've got to do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And it's not the case.
I think also for a lot of guys, it's something to look out for, I guess, where if your trainer or coach uses food and say training as punishment, that should be like an alarm, like where, because it forces a mindset where, say, you get another coach or even to yourself, you just can't be honest with yourself because you're scared. You're like, if I tell Clea I had wine, perhaps she's going to give me 20 extra minutes on the cross trainer, and I hate that machine. So you get maybe Clea and you're like, I had chocolate or I had, and Claire's like, oh, cool, how was it? Did you?
Yeah, that's the first thing I always say with sauces. I say, was it good?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and
it's true.
And I found it's also worked because whereby the client, first of all, they're very confused, like, did you mistype or, and you find after a few months, the client comes to you and tells you, oh man, I had fun last night with my family. I had this, I woke up, I felt good, I looked good. And, there's also those wins. I guess clients are always too focused on the scales. They forget things like that. Where
but there's the other lesson to that side, which is if you go out and drink and eat, say, a pizza, have a few beers or a few wines or whatever, the scale weight is going to go up, but it's not body fat.
No.
I can say this to loads of people. If I say have a refeed day, go out, enjoy yourself, go away for a week, have a holiday, eat everything in sight. I've told the clients that. I said, what happened is the scale may go up a little bit. It may not, it might go down. If it goes up a little bit, it's not, unless you've been really going crazy, that's not all body fat. It's not, it's going to be water and stuff. And that's easy to come off after. Don't stress it, enjoy it, enjoy these times. So yes, people get made to scale, but also it's realizing what the scale's actually telling you. It's not, and never tie your self-worth to a number. It's just a number.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest satisfaction and the biggest wins are the mindset ones with my clients. And one, she recently went away to Europe and she'd just been in a deficit, made good progress, and she was so worried that, you know, she's going to undo all the hard work. Again, that language. And I was like, look, don't even try to train, just enjoy yourself. Generally, when you're in Europe or other sort of international cities, you walk. Like, you know, we've worked together a long time, you kind of know portion sizes, things like that, but just enjoy yourself. And she came back, she didn't even put on any weight, and she had pastries and chocolate, and she was just like, no, she was just like, this is the best thing ever. And I'm like, yeah, it is. You can still hit all your goals, go out and enjoy yourself. And it just takes time to get that
And
mind.
if like go to Dubai, same thing. I was like, look, go to Dubai, eat everything. I said, don't move into the Cheesecake Factory, but definitely visit it. Right? You know, eat, just enjoy yourself. And if you stay active with your kids, because you're going to, you know, take them to Legoland, water park, whatever it may be, you know, be in the pool with them, you know, keep yourself active. And that's enough. I said, if you want to train, you see a gym, you've got opportunity away from kids to train, it's for you, do that. But don't do it because you think I want you to train. I want you to have a holiday with your family. You know, I want you to eat your food. And then when we came back, they were actually lighter, you know, because actually they were holding less stressful water. Like cortisol water weight was gone because we actually had a holiday, not worrying about everything.
Yeah, that's the moment I think most clients go and sit to themselves and they're like, what have I been doing all my life? Why was I eating 900 calories? And you know, it makes the client start thinking like, wow, this is it's interesting. Like if they get more into it, and it just changes the whole.
It's about being like mindful. Like, you know, you can take time off, you know, be mindful to just stay active, a little bit active. And then that's normally enough. You know, eat food doesn't mean, as I said, eat Cheesecake Factory every meal. It doesn't mean eat, you know, like 4 pizzas a day. Just eat to be satiated, but they can be enjoyable food. You don't have to worry about hitting your protein target when you're on holiday. You don't have to worry. You're not going to lose gains. It takes a little bit longer than a week, 2 weeks holiday to lose all your gains. Yeah, most of your weight will be water weight.
Yeah, it's crazy though. I always think back, and whenever clients tell me some stories, I remember I was that person, because I used to train 6 to 7 days because I thought rest days would set me back.
Rest days of the week.
I used to schedule cheat days because if I ate anything midweek, met friends or did anything, I would have a bit of guilt. But since I'm the guy in the gym, the trainer, I always didn't tell people about it and kept it to myself. But I think clients assume we've not been there, you don't understand. And it's something I think everyone goes through, and you just get to learn more about yourself and the process, so to speak.
Sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
That's what people got to realize. Like, if you are stressing and squeezing in training sessions or overtraining, you're getting less out of it. You know, as I was listening to a podcast last night with Oscar Young, who's young Simbo's trained by JP, has been for 10 years. He's from originally, his family from Kenya.
Kenyan guy,
but yeah, he was saying he now only does 1 leg session a week, and his legs have got way bigger from doing that. Because, you know, you can put in maximum effort, you know, and get maximum recovery. And what you find is people trying to train more. And yeah, for some people you need the frequency, especially if your intensity is not maximum. But a lot of people will actually do better from training a little less, as in staying active, but not necessarily, you know, trying to thrash yourself, actually getting some rest days, that rest, get a couple, day where you can just rest and digest, you know.
I think that's the hardest thing for most people, in learning that less is more. And that kind of goes into like when you are really stressed in your life, finding what you need to pull back on. And sometimes your health and not your health, but your training needs to take a back seat sometimes, and if you're focusing on family for whatever reason, or your business for whatever reason, instead of trying to beat yourself into the ground, be like, okay, what can I still do, that's going to help me feel my best in terms of nutrition and your training, but not stress you out. So is that scaling back your training, maybe just doing your walks? What does that look like for your nutrition? Because that's also the all or nothing mindset. Like when you can't have, maybe all your gym sessions or whatever, you can still do it. You just need to peel it back a little bit. And again, working with a coach can help you do that, because they're like, oh, well, what's the point of a coach if I'm not training every day? It's like, that's not the point. Again, we're here to support, guide you, and show you how you can still, fit in training or fit in your nutrition. Maybe it's like, oh, well, why don't you get a meal prep company during this hard time? Like if you've just had a baby, might be worth looking at getting a meal prep company. Or if you've got exams, and you can afford someone else to make your food, it's like, do it.
Definitely. I think, that's all, really important as well. If you can do, I think it's about finding out what your true goal is. Everyone wants to look better, which is fine. But if your goal is actually to be healthier, and I find this especially with clients with kids, they want to be, they're like, oh, I want to be healthy, I've got kids, I want to live, well, there's a difference there. Having that as your goal is great, because it's not purely aesthetic. Focus on performance, which is what I prefer deep down. But with being healthier, you don't have to spend all your time in the gym. It's nice resistance training. We know health benefits of resistance training. Know that. But 4 sessions a week, 3 sessions a week, you get those. If it's purely health, then watch your diet and just stay active, which is the biggest, and manage your blood glucose and those little things. If obviously your goal is purely aesthetic and it's purely a physique goal, that's slightly different. But again, it's we get down to what we say often is know your goal and be real about your goal. Don't say your goal is to be healthier to coach, if actually it is purely aesthetic. Health, actually looking good isn't about health at all. In fact, it can be the flip side of that. You want to be really shredded. I've had guys come up to me and say, oh, this is want to be really shredded for at least once in my life. Well, I'm down with that. I understand that. It's nice to see what that's like once.
True.
I'll support that. So likewise, if someone said to me, I want to just be fitter to run an ultramarathon, I'll be like, I'm down with that as well. Actually, I'll be super down with that. Sounds awesome, right? But the training's different, so you've got to be realistic with your goal and be honest with your coach. If your goal is just to be shredded and you really have always wanted abs, it's fine. That's your goal. But say that from the beginning, because the way your programming will be set up be different. It'd be less about, like me, it'd be less about health. I'm less worried about a lot of things carry over. But if you said to me, I want to be the healthiest version of me, I'll be like, all right, there's a lot of other things to do, and a little bit less about the training thing. We do a little bit of a training thing, but we're really focused on, micronutrients and macronutrients. Rather than just, physique, you can just get by on macros. But when they talk about health, we're going to say, we'll make sure you get your 28 grams of fiber. We're going to make sure you get enough vitamin C, A, D, E, all these things. So, and then I was put towards a nutritionist or a dietitian like Ashley. So that's you're best off getting a diet plan. If your job is that you want to just be healthier, you're better off. I'll do a little bit of training, do your training plans for, but you should get a proper true diet plan from a registered dietitian. That's to make sure you are being healthy.
Yeah. And I think there's another flip side, like definitely give yourself grace, but then you also need some tough love, like especially if it is an aesthetic goal.
Yeah.
You really, for aesthetic goals, you've got to be willing to put in the work, because so many people are like, oh, I want to look like you. I'm like, okay, are you prepared to go into maintenance in a slight surplus for a whole year? Are you prepared to get uncomfortable? After that, are you prepared then to go into a deficit that's probably going to get quite hard? So are you prepared overall to have like a 2-year plan? You know, you can't just expect, the 12-week transformation, you know, years go into that. So you've really got to be brutally honest with yourself and with your coach. Like, are you willing to go that far? And then you can't, and it's that quote, like, you can't complain, you know, for the results that you don't get, for the work that you don't do, because so many people do program hop or coach hop, and they're like, oh, so-and-so didn't work for me, or this didn't work for me. And it's like, there's a trend here. The problem is not the coach or the program or the this or the that, it's actually you. So you've got to be very honest, because looking a certain way is not easy. Like you, Andy, like right now, you are on 100 grams of carbs. You are on 300 calories of cardio a day. Are you willing and able to do that?
And work. This is what people don't realize, because my brain function probably isn't optimal, but I still have to do it. So I have to really focus on the work. But you're right. This is what I say. If someone wants to be a competitive physique athlete, then you do need to be real with yourself. It's rules go out the window. Because as I said, it's not about health, it's about looking a certain way. It's about actually, you're being competitive, the worst thing, you can't stand on stage and say, oh, I didn't do enough. You sit there with your stomach hanging out. Because when you look back on photos, you're gonna feel, you're gonna get down on yourself, and then it's gonna be not. But if you can stand on that stage and say, I've done everything I can. I did everything my coach asked me to do. Then you pull it in the hands of your coach, and if you don't look your best, that's their thing. As long as you ticked every box. If you find that you're up on stage and you've not done everything, then that's on you. That's a realistic way. You're going to be in your pants on stage, spray painted orange. You are going to look silly anyway, let alone now looking extra silly. But that's what's going on in your mind. You do have to be tough. Like, look, I'm not gonna lie. Do I want to do 15,000 steps, 300 calories, and 100 grams of carbs a day? No, I would love to be eating burgers and smash them because I love them. But the reality is, my goal is stronger than my long-term goal, stronger than my short-term one. And I'm okay with that. I crack on. And it's like, I said to Ollie, I'll take the 300, increasing 300 grams of carbs a day over this one day 600, because it's better it's better. And I'm okay mentally just to crack on. I'm okay. It's not that tough. Like, as in, because it is a habit. If my food's ready, when I get a bit peckish, I'm just going to eat a meal a little early. And if I've eaten all the meals and I've done everything, I can just go to bed early. It's fine. But realistically, you do have to get uncomfortable. You got to be willing to put time for physique goals. It's not even a year. It's not even 2 years. To look the way you see the people on Instagram or The Rock or someone on TV, you see. Like, I grew up in a time with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Sly Stallone, Dolph Lundgren, massive guys. But they spent 10 years of training, 20 years of training, obviously there's some genetics on some of them, like freaks, and some anabolics, whatever. But generally, even then, we're talking, 10 years of training.
Yeah.
There's guys, I've been training since I was 50, and it's not always been as structured and organized, and it's for different goals. But the fact is, that's made it easier for me to focus on physique, because I just changed what my goal was and put the same amount of effort into that as a performance goal. And, so it's easy for me in that sense, because I've been training for a long time. If you're new to training, you get into training later in life, not even later in life, say in your mid-20s, and you go, right, I want to be a physique athlete. I've never trained a day in my life. It's going to take you a good, unless you're a genetic marvel, it's going to take you a good few years.
Build some good muscle.
To build muscle. And, and you will have to do diet phases to get the rebounds in, So therefore, every time you diet, you're taking it away from the time you can be growing. But it's a necessary evil to see where you are, one, to increase hunger, stop too much body fat, but also get that rebound phase. Then you rebound, but then you need to spend double the amount of time, 3 times the amount of time in a surplus to when you were dieting. And then it's rinse and repeat for years. Not 1-2 years, we're talking minimum 5 years to really start seeing big changes.
Yep, it is the long-term game. And I mean, even when clients sign up, like, I'd love to work with them for, a year, even if it's, even if the sort of short-term goal is fat loss, because it takes so much time to set up the mindset for a fat loss goal, because you don't want to half-ass it. So if you don't have the routines and the habits and the mindset in place, you will half-ass your diet phase.
So,
and that's never a good thing. You want to do it properly, prepare properly, do it properly, get in, get your result, and then get out. Because too many people half-ass that diet phase because they're just not ready. The mindset.
I always say to people, if you're short on money and can't really afford lots of coaching, you're better off paying for 2 cycles, one in a dieting phase, and then do a growing phase with a coach, because then you'll know how to structure both yourself. You can learn and take that away and go, right, so now I know how this whole fat loss thing works. I've seen what my coach did. We can kind of replicate that. Now I'm doing a gaining phase with coach. Now I can see how that works. I can replicate that.
A nice massing phase.
And I say this to clients. I'm like, right, the whole purpose of you being with me is to learn, so you can do it yourself. True. So I'm okay when people want to go and do it for themselves. I encourage that. I always say, feel free to come back when you want to, fat loss. Come back when you want to do some growing.
Yeah, true. Because if you're not learning, then it's almost wasted time.
Well, that's our point. If you're just copying for the sake of copying, if you're not taking it in, because talking long term, there's gonna be times when you want to just do things yourself, or you're away and you're not communicating so much with your coach.
Yeah.
They go, great, you've had to go, you've gone traveling. Knowing how to do it yourself means in between you can just.
Yeah, true. You can.
You're taking over.
Yeah. You have the basics. Sorted.
Yeah, no, and as a thing, it's like and I think we all know that it's a long-term commitment.
Right, it is.
Body, to physique change. It's a long-term commitment.
Yeah.
So, but there's nothing to say you can't start in your 40s and have the best body you've ever had, but in your 40s or by the time you reach 50, that's reality. You could be having the same physique. I've seen guys now 80s on on the internet with great physiques.
Yeah.
So it's achievable. It's just you've got to be willing to take the time. not rush it, because when you rush things, it always goes wrong. You take shortcuts, and then that might have an impact on your actual health.
Yeah.
Yep, we're in a world of shortcuts, that's for sure. And I think I'm sure when most people come to work with us or any good coach, it's generally a shock, because it's going to be a lot longer, than what they think or want. And that is the mindset work. It just I cannot emphasize how important that is, because if you don't have that in place, it's going to be really, really hard for you to achieve whatever your goal is. Because those bad weeks are going to come, learn from them and put other systems in place for how to cope. If you have a problem with food or with something, it's always worth working with a professional on your mental health for that. It really is. And yeah, I mean, if you do have an aesthetic or performance goal, just you've always got to think the long term. Think long term. Think life.
Exactly. If you start off and you are 130 pounds soaking wet, but you show me a picture of Chris Bumstead at 245 or whatever he is, I'm gonna say that's gonna take you a little while. It's gonna take you 10 years, mate. That's the reality.
Yeah, sign up now.
Exactly. It's the truth. It's not something you can do overnight.
Yeah.
You can't even do it in a year. You can't do it in 2 years.
Which is what a lot of people aren't ready to be honest with themselves sometimes. So one thing to factor in, another one.
Yeah, no, it is big time. And it's worth working with a coach just to put in place mindset, and work on routine and habit, and having someone there to be accountable and to support you.
I think that's it. Support.
Yeah.
That's the purpose. I always say the purpose of me is not to, especially an online coach. It's not there to sit with you in the gym and make sure you're counting your reps. It's to say, right, this is what it's been a good week, we're going to do this. But actually, conversely, it's more important. All right, it's been a bad week. Let's pick you up. Let's dust you down. Let's make some changes. How can we help you better? How can we, and that's what the coach is really for.
Yeah.
And when it's all going smoothly, it's really easy to coach someone.
Yeah.
But where you earn your money is when it's not going well.
Yeah, and like you say, it's like, what can we learn from what didn't work for you? What can we learn from what you thought was a negative situation? And like when someone goes AWOL, it's like, why are you going AWOL? It's like, because I want to let you down. You're like, you're not letting me down.
Yeah.
This is what we're here for.
I always say to them, even if you need a week, a week off from a check-in because it's just you feel it's too much pressure for you, that's fine as well. Just message me and say you're okay.
Yeah.
Because actually I genuinely care.
Yeah.
If someone goes silent, I'm like, oh geez, all right. Like, I'm self-messaging, leaving voice notes, you're all right. Yeah. Because it is a worry. I don't like to think of people sitting at home depressed, anxious, worried over something where a quick conversation and they probably feel a lot better.
Yeah, true, man.
Yeah, and to know that they're not alone. Like everyone goes through that, even us. We're not a different species. We go through it all. It's just that we've spent the time, learning how to prioritize, putting in the routines and the habits. So maybe for in terms of fitness and nutrition, for us it's a bit easier, but also because we understand the science and everything behind it. So again, it is always worth understanding the basics, because that does always help to guide you away from the BS that is out there, which generally makes you fall for quick fixes, which never work.
So much BS.
So I think that wraps up our mindset episode, and it is the most underrated aspect, I would say, of your journey, and worth spending a lot of time on. And yes, being kind to yourself.
Yeah, I think mindset's one thing people skip over in their own personal journeys. They really want to just get to the sexy stuff of having abs.
Yeah.
But reality is the biggest thing you can do for yourself is change your mindset for a healthier one, for training, life in general.
Yes. Well, on that optimistic note, we will end, and we will see you not next week, but in a while. And because you're traveling.
Yeah, I should be flying. Yeah, we might be able to do something on Sunday. We'll work it out. We'll see how the
episode.
Yeah.